is but the form following the function of what, and what I am is a man in a mask.
Well, I can see that.
Of course you can. I'm not questioning your powers of observation. I'm merely remarking upon the paradox of asking a masked man who he is.
So now going back to fast forward about Virginia. Virginia was amazing. One place that we would go back to if we ever were to. I love Arizona. Don't get it twisted. Arizona, I love it. Other place I would live is Virginia. It's beautiful. But that call for adventure was just, it was kicking, boy. And plus your lease is up. What are you going to do? We didn't have much money at the time. So we decided to just go. And it really started, how we started this pattern is we sat in Virginia, and as we all do, because I'm sitting here at this house now, we start collect things, run boxes, stuff that you put in the boxes that you forgot, all that stuff. So the first thing I did was I was 4 hours away from Delaware, and I basically rented a U-Haul and a truck, and I got everything to storage. Drove there to Delaware. I drove down to my mother-in-law's, dropped off some stuff, and then obviously me and the boys and Toya headed down. And we thought we were going to be there because I was ready for the couch surfing and all the other stuff. And we found out very quickly as we were doing research that most not couch surfing. Well, I guess it was couch surfing and different farm stays. As we explored them and Toya sent out emails, they didn't take kids. And we didn't think about that and really study that as hard as we probably should have, but nobody really took kids. And well, close, I should say. I said that wrong. Nobody close would take children, small children, and that's what we had. So we actually, I know we found our first farm stay on Craigslist, but in North Carolina, as we stayed with my mother-in-law, that was a time for me to just learn how to take a nap. That was one big thing that I always, if you knew me back then, it was like, don't nap. I don't nap. I don't sit down. I don't chill. I got to go to work. And I kind of learned that just from the fact of wanting to accomplish something and wanting to achieve something. But in this season, and I know this now, but I was exploring rest. How do I rest? How do you rest? And I had to learn how to rest in a different level. And it helped me with being a father. It helped me with, we did a lot of exploring there too. We went to boat shows and different farms. We did like a milk farm. The boys love that. Like they love being outdoors. I mean, they're boys. But we did a lot of different things there and obviously had a lot of great conversation there. But we also knew that time was ending. It wasn't like we, again, had understood or knew exactly how it was going to work, but we knew that we weren't going to stay long. And I think we planned on staying like 2 weeks or a week, I'm not sure, but it ended up being a month, and the month was actually needed for me and I would say for all of us, because it gave us time to kind of share with each other, learn each other, good or bad, indifferent, it didn't matter. It was just a time to learn. And that's what we did. We just kind of sat and did a lot of things and laughed and learned and maybe frustrated each other from time to time, but it was all good and it was all needed and it was all necessary. So what we did from that portion from North Carolina, Toya was on Craigslist and we found a farm in Georgia, and he said to us, or through email, you come down and see the farm. And that's what we did. We drove down first to go see it. We actually drove to his house. And he talked about, we got there kind of late. He bought us a room and everything, stayed in a hotel, took the boys, went to his house, had a great conversation with the owner of the farm. And he basically explained to us, this is what I'm trying to do. I just have this farm. I want somebody to just look after it. And this is what I'll provide. And it was housing and I think everything was included. I'm not sure. At that time, I don't remember our discussion exactly, but it was just cool. And we had a great discussion. And I think maybe 3 days, we drove back to North Carolina, and 3 days later or whatever, we were down in Georgia on our first major part of this adventure. And it didn't start out great. The place had, unfortunately, from the people who stayed there before, they had fleas in there and different things, and it was uncomfortable. We had to stay in some hotels because of the fleas, and then, he obviously got someone out there to spray, and apologetic. Nobody was mad, but I was uncomfortable and honestly very afraid, because I was like, I done put my family now in a situation where the option is not turning around. That is not an option. So you eliminate that immediately. And then you discuss things, or at least I discuss things with my wife, asking, is she okay? And she would, she would say she's okay, but everybody knows, I knew that everything wasn't hunky dory, but it worked out. And to the part that's really important is, it's like 1,200 acre farm backwoods in Georgia. We were like an hour and 30 minutes from Athens. It's called Rail, Georgia. He had, 1,200 acres, so many animals. Everything was out. I'm trying to think, what animal am I going to miss if I start trying to talk about what the animals were there? But let's just say this. It was a ton of animals. Ostrich, even, he had bison, American buffalo, or maybe it's called a water buffalo, but either way, that was there. Longhorns, alpaca, it was a llama, pigs, goats, sheep. It was just insane. And it was just me and my boys and my beautiful wife. And we very quickly stamped ground. Like, what I mean by that is we figured things out. And on all that was all left to me. And he said, you take care of it. The boys, there was a little coop. It wasn't a little coop, but it was a coop with rabbits, and it was a peacocks and chickens. The boys' job was to feed them and take care of them. And I would clean out that stall often. And we stayed at that farm, and had no, I was about to say electricity, but it did have electricity. It had no cell phone reception. We had no TV. We just had each other and each other. That's really what we had in the animals. I never, it was a Kubota tractor. It was a lot of tractors and different things there. And I never been on those to understand them and really know how to work them and operate them. And those big, 2,000 pounds rolls of hay, that was there. And I'm saying all this to set up kind of like how this adventure started, in Georgia. I was after, we kind of got settled. We figured out a routine, how to eat. We figured out routines, how to do things. The boys, funny story. The boys were at the point to where, how do I explain it in a way, like, there's no nice way to say it, and if anybody who has boys, they understand. They were becoming older and exploring their appendages, I should say. And, mom would give baths and different things, but by that time she's like, Joseph, I'm done. They're disgusting. They're doing everything. Of course, we're just laughing. 3 boys, or a man, a dad, and 2 boys. It was just funny to me. And Toya's like, I'm done. Like, she grew up, she has a sister. So, all the interesting, funny stuff was, going down at that point, and brothers being brothers and laughing and throwing water at each other during that time. That was fun and funty for me, but Toya wanted no parts of it. So I had to, in essence, supervise in those situations, which honestly, it allowed me to be a father. Not that I wasn't being that before. We're always together, but it allowed me to, in essence, spend some real quality time, because Toya did all the homeschooling at that time. That we were obviously homeschooling, but Toya was in that state of mind to where, just trying to make that place a home. So 2 little boys being little boys, she was not feeling any of that. So that was a huge thing for me, and it blessed me, because out on the farm, with all the cattle and different things, the boys were small, so I didn't want anything. I didn't really understand the farm life, I would say. At least I thought I did, because I grew up in Oklahoma. But when you're on a farm and you're actually, attending to the horses or whatever the case may be, like everything, it was a system. And that's what I had to do. I had to create a system for all the animals. And I did. And that taught me a lot because, I'm feeding the animals. That was my job. That's the reason my family can stay here for free, basically, as long as I'm feeding the animals and taking care of the farm. And I have some amazing photos from that farm, but more importantly, I have some amazing experiences. And these are simple things, but the simple things to explain, but these are monumental things for me, and they're huge. And if anybody knows those big water cattle troughs, they're just huge. And my arrogant, I play football, I lift weights, comes running out like I'm getting ready to flip this thing over because the water needed to be cleaned out. They were not clean. I'll just leave it there. And, I'm trying to push it and different things. And it didn't take me nothing but, 3 or 4 tries to realize this ain't happening. Like, there's too much water in here and I need to figure out a different way. So on the farm, we have 5-gallon buckets all over. And those 5-gallon buckets are, that was just my way of learning how to slowly slowly develop a way to solve the problem. The problem was the water needed to be out regardless. So I had to do it bucket by bucket. And I don't know how many gallons of water those things hold, but if they're filled all the way up, it's a lot of water. And I never counted because that would discourage me at that time, where I would just sit and take bucket and dump it out, bucket and dump it out. I wasn't trying to figure out how long it took me. It took more than 2 buckets, and it definitely took me more than 2 minutes to get that thing done. And that patience part, you have to have patience, because anybody who's worked on a farm, there's more than just cleaning out one trough. And I believe there were 8 on the whole farm. And in that process, my mind would say, and as we do, I can do all 8 today. I learned very quickly I can only focus on one task, one mission is this one today. Feed the animals, which took me maybe 2 hours, and then 1 bucket or 1 trough. And that was a routine I had to figure out quickly. And the beauty of that is I had to be okay with the work that I put in that day, because truthfully, I'd drive myself crazy. And it was even being okay with like cutting half of a section. I would have to cut grass, I had a riding lawnmower and a weed eater. They had about 3 weed eaters, but I would know that I have to cut this section or feed the animals, cut this section, and that's all I'll do today. And that process taught me like, hey, it's going to be there tomorrow. It ain't going nowhere. And it's not necessarily a problem. It's a task to me. It's solving the problem. It's learning how to be, in this call, in this adventure, learning how to be patient. Patience possesses your soul. And that's what I was learning at that moment. Like, it doesn't matter what I want to accomplish or how I want to accomplish it. I need the patience first. And once I understood very quickly, the piglets would get out. And I always wondered like how they get out. And they had it might have been like half an acre fenced in area just for the pigs. And it took me, I couldn't figure it out, but me spending time walking and looking at that fence while I had just me by myself, all the other tasks, I would have to do a section a day, focus on one section.